Elm Street looked like a postcard: neat houses, blooming gardens, and kids laughing on sunlit sidewalks. Every morning, the air was filled with the scent of fresh-cut grass and the distant hum of lawnmowers, as if the whole neighborhood was waking up together. It was the kind of place where neighbors shared sugar, swapped recipes, and watched each other's kids. On weekends, the smell of barbecue drifted from backyard to backyard, and laughter echoed down the block. The biggest drama was the annual bake sale, or who had the best Christmas lights. Even the smallest competitions felt like grand events, bringing everyone together in friendly rivalry. Everyone felt safe, certain nothing bad could ever happen here. Parents let their children roam free, confident that every adult on the street was looking out for them. But beneath the perfect lawns and white fences, something sinister was taking root. There were secrets buried deeper than the roots of the oldest oak tree. The real threat wasn't a stranger in the night, it was hiding in plain sight, waving from across the street. The same hands that offered help could just as easily hide a secret. The illusion of safety was the neighborhood's greatest comfort, and its greatest weakness. No one locked their doors, trusting that nothing could shatter their peace. Trust was the foundation of Elm Street, binding everyone together. It was a trust built over years of shared holidays, borrowed tools, and whispered confidences. But that trust was about to be shattered. A single moment would unravel years of friendship and certainty. This is the story of how a perfect community became a crime scene. How innocence was lost in the blink of an eye. Evil doesn't always look like a monster. Sometimes it's the neighbor with the friendliest smile, the one you'd never suspect. The events on Elm Street would forever change how its residents saw each other. Every glance, every gesture, now tinged with doubt. The difference between appearance and reality would become painfully clear. The masks people wore would finally slip. The lawns that once symbolized peace would soon be marked by police tape. The green grass now a backdrop for flashing lights and whispered rumors. Elm Street's innocence was about to be lost. The laughter of children replaced by uneasy silence. And it all started with a neighbor's helping hand. Sometimes the greatest dangers are the ones we invite into our lives, disguised as kindness. Mark Delaney moved in, a stranger with a friendly smile and a firm handshake. He wasted no time transforming the neglected corner house into a suburban showpiece, painting the mailbox and trimming the hedges as neighbors watched with curiosity. His lawn was flawless, lush, green, and weed-free, the envy of the block. People would slow down just to stare. Mark quickly became the lawn guru, always ready to share his secret fertilizer blend, or offer a tip over the fence with a neighborly grin. He offered to help neighbors, spreading his special mix on their yards for free, and lending a hand with groceries or a wave to the kids on their bikes. Mark was the first to lend a tool, bring in trash cans, or fix a squeaky gate. He always seemed to know when someone needed help. He organized block events, grilling burgers and making sure everyone had a good time. His laughter was contagious. Mark made everyone feel welcome. People trusted him completely, and he seemed to thrive on the sense of community. When Mark offered to treat your lawn, you didn't hesitate. Some even left thank you notes in his mailbox. His helpfulness seemed genuine, his advice always spot on. He'd draw diagrams on napkins or text reminders about watering schedules, but Mark's perfection was a mask. Sometimes neighbors caught him staring out the window, lost in thought. His generosity was a way to gain access and trust. He kept mental notes on everyone's routines. Every bag of fertilizer, every friendly gesture, was part of a hidden agenda. He guarded his shed like a vault. The community saw a kind neighbor, a friend, a mentor. No one questioned his motives. No one suspected the truth. Mark's hands were sowing more than grass. Even the children played on lawns he'd treated. His reputation was the perfect cover. He blended in so well, he was almost invisible. The seeds of suffering were already in the ground, hidden beneath the surface. Elm Street's pride in its lawns would become its undoing. The very thing that brought them together would tear them apart. Mark's plan was working. No one saw the danger growing right under their feet. Not the children, not the pets, not the parents. The perfect neighbor was hiding a perfect crime, and no one, not even his closest friends, had the faintest clue. The first signs were subtle: headaches, fatigue, and brain fog in the Henderson house. But soon, coughs, sore throats, and rashes appeared, along with a strange metallic taste in the mouth. Doctors found nothing wrong, so the family blamed stress and allergies. Blood tests and scans came back normal, deepening the mystery. Soon, other families fell ill. Nausea, dizziness, chest tightness, and a lingering flu that wouldn't go away. Some even reported nosebleeds and insomnia. The symptoms were vague but relentless, spreading from house to house. Emergency calls increased, and whispers of a possible outbreak began. Neighbors whispered over fences, realizing they were all getting sick. Online forums buzzed with speculation, and community meetings were hastily organized. Was it the water? Mold? A gas leak? No one knew. The city sent inspectors, but nothing unusual was found. The sense of safety on Elm Street began to crumble. News crews arrived, and rumors of contamination spread. Fear crept in, as invisible as the illness itself. Families isolated themselves, afraid to visit neighbors or let children play outside. No one suspected the lawns, the pride of the neighborhood. Fertilizer deliveries continued, unnoticed. Children played on them, families picnicked, and neighbors chatted, never imagining the danger beneath their feet. The lush grass was a silent accomplice, thriving as the community withered. The sickness spread quietly, draining the life from the community. Playgrounds emptied and streets grew silent, and the man responsible watched from his perfect, vibrant yard, unnoticed by those around him. The true source of their suffering remained hidden in plain sight, as investigators searched for answers in all the wrong places. As more families fell ill, the sense of unease on Elm Street grew. Sarah Henderson, a local mother and former nurse, began meticulously tracking every symptom, every cough, every unexplained headache. She noticed a chilling pattern. The symptoms always worsened after time spent in the yard. Word spread quickly. Neighbors gathered on sidewalks, whispering their fears, comparing notes. The same story echoed from house to house: children sick after playing outside, adults dizzy after gardening. Desperation set in. The community pooled their resources and hired environmental testers, hoping for answers but fearing the worst. Soon, white-suited hazmat teams became a common sight, their presence a stark contrast to the sunny, peaceful street. The investigation was painstaking. Testers moved from lawn to lawn, collecting soil samples with gloved hands, sealing them in sterile containers. Every neighbor watched, holding their breath, waiting for news. Days passed with no answers. Anxiety mounted. At night, police cars patrolled the block, and families peered through curtains, afraid of what might come next. The neighborhood felt under siege, not by a visible enemy, but by something lurking beneath their feet. Finally, the results arrived. The soil on Elm Street was saturated with toxic chemicals, dangerously high levels of organophosphates and heavy metals. The medical reports matched the symptoms exactly. The poison was real. But the mystery deepened. The park and nearby neighborhoods were untouched, clean, safe, normal. Only Elm Street was contaminated. Investigators dug deeper, literally and figuratively, sifting through garden soil and questioning every resident. The breakthrough came when they examined the fertilizer bags. Hidden among the ordinary granules was a unique, sinister blend: industrial pesticides mixed into the fertilizer itself. The delivery method was shockingly simple. The very fertilizer everyone had welcomed, spread lovingly across their lawns. The perfect, lush green grass was a toxic trap. The community's pride had become its poison. Elm Street would never be the same. The fertilizer was the link, but no one saw it at first. Mark had always been the helpful neighbor, the one who knew every blade of grass on Elm Street. He'd wave, smile, and offer advice to anyone who'd listen. Almost every sick family had let Mark treat their lawn. "Don't worry, I'll take care of it," he'd say, his voice warm and reassuring. "He's just being nice," Mrs. Carter told her husband, coughing as she watched Mark work. "He's always been so generous." But Mark's secret recipe was a weapon, not a gardening tip. In the quiet of his garage, he'd mix toxins into the fertilizer, his hands steady, his face unreadable. "Here, try this booster treatment," he'd offer, pressing a bag into a neighbor's hands. Sometimes he'd apply it while families were away, sometimes right in front of them, chatting about the weather. The poisoning was slow, building up over time. "Why are the kids always sick?" one mother whispered to her friend, worry etched on her face. "It's just a bug going around," Mark would say, his tone soothing, his eyes never wavering. Mark's helpfulness was the perfect disguise. He brought casseroles to the sick, listened to complaints, and played the caring friend. No one suspected the friendly neighbor was the cause of their pain. His deception was masterful. Trust and routine hid his crimes. A neighbor working on a lawn was normal, unremarkable. No one questioned the free fertilizer from the lawn expert. Mark turned the community's trust into his greatest weapon. The perfect neighbor had betrayed them all. Elm Street's strength had become its downfall. And as the truth began to surface, the shock and heartbreak would ripple through every home. The environmental report pointed straight to Mark. But it was only the beginning. Investigators noticed a pattern. Every affected lawn was within a stone's throw of Mark's property. Police searched his garage and found drums of industrial chemicals, bags of fertilizer, and a cement mixer. The evidence was overwhelming, but detectives dug deeper, tracing receipts for chemicals purchased under false names. The Peterson security camera sealed his fate. Footage showed Mark spreading fertilizer on their lawn at 2 a.m. Cross-referencing timestamps, police realized he'd struck multiple homes in a single night. His alibi as a helpful neighbor was destroyed. Anonymous tips poured in. Neighbors recalled odd late-night noises, strange chemical smells, and Mark's sudden interest in everyone's landscaping. Mark's arrest shocked Elm Street. Police cars, flashing lights, and stunned neighbors watching from poisoned lawns. The investigation became the talk of the town, with rumors swirling about his motives. The man they trusted was led away in handcuffs, silent and defeated. During interrogation, Mark confessed, but not before trying to blame a conspiracy of neighbors against him. His motive? Petty grudges, barking dogs, parking disputes, minor code violations. But detectives uncovered more. Mark had kept a detailed journal, listing every perceived slight and plotting his revenge. Small slights had festered into rage. His journal revealed a man obsessed, unable to let go of even the smallest insult. His helpfulness was revenge, a way to control and punish. He'd offered to fix lawns he'd already sabotaged, deepening his neighbors' trust while hiding his true intent. The community's trust had blinded them to his true nature. Even as suspicions grew, no one wanted to believe the worst about the man who always showed up to help. The perfect neighbor was a calculated poisoner. His charm was a mask, hiding years of resentment and meticulous planning. Elm Street's peace had been shattered by one man's bitterness. The sense of safety was gone, replaced by suspicion and fear. The lawns were green, but the roots were rotten, just like the trust that once held the neighborhood together. The truth was finally out. News crews descended, and the story spread far beyond Elm Street. The cost would haunt the neighborhood for years. Some families moved away, unable to forget the betrayal that had poisoned more than just their lawns. Mark Delaney was convicted, but the damage lingered. Families faced health problems, costly soil removal, and endless anxiety. The children suffered most, some with lasting effects. Trust was gone. Neighbors eyed each other with suspicion. Block parties stopped, and kids no longer played freely. The idea of neighborliness was poisoned. Elm Street became a cautionary tale. Appearances can deceive, and trust can be deadly. The story spread. A perfect lawn, a friendly smile, and a heart full of malice. The case exposed the dangers of blind trust and the monsters next door. Years later, Elm Street is changed. New families, green lawns, but innocence lost. The story is local legend, a warning passed down. It's about fertilizer, friendship, and the darkness behind closed doors. The most terrifying monsters are often the ones we invite in. Elm Street learned that lesson the hard way. The scars remain, hidden beneath the grass. But over time, the community began to heal. Support groups formed, neighbors slowly reached out, and shared pain became the first step toward rebuilding trust. New traditions emerged: community meetings, shared gardens, and cautious friendships. For many, the memories remained sharp. A reminder to look beyond appearances, to cherish real connection, and to protect one another. Elm Street's wounds may never fully fade, but its people learn to grow around them, finding hope in each new day. The scars are still there, beneath the grass and behind the smiles. But so is resilience, and the quiet promise that even after the darkest chapters, a community can find its way back to the light.